So ever since I did this B&M shifter in the VN, I've never been 100% happy with how it sits. So what I'm going to do today is, one, I'm going to paint these two things black, because when this trim is back on, like so, you can still see it. Even with this underneath, you can still see it. So it's a bit ugly, so I'm going to paint all that black, so it's a little more inconspicuous. And I'm going to see if I can sit the shifter a bit further up and to the right. Also, I want to take the shifter out anyway, because I need to drill the hole for the cable to go through the drop box and obviously to the transmission. There is our nice hole cut for the shifter cable. I'll put a grommet there or some Sikaflex just to seal it up so no water comes up through there and puddles here under the shifter, and we'll put it back together. The shifter's back in. I ended up putting a washer on both of these upper and lower ones to tilt the shifter over a bit to make it a little bit more central. I can't go to the right anymore, that is hard up against the drop box. Did a grommet up the back here, which I'll show you from underneath. So I can put those black, now painted black pieces back in and put all this back together, and that should be it. Like, not pulling this off ever again. Cables through, all run nicely. So there you go, that's what the drop box looks like from underneath. All really neat. Sealed with sealer. All back together for hopefully the final time. So all this is painted black, so you can't see all that white junk anymore. It's in a good spot where it doesn't hit anything. And that's it. On to the next thing. So I'm not sure what is in front of this in this video, because I just film stuff all over the place and I just piece them together into a video sometimes. Sometimes there's footage from a week ago put into a video 3 weeks from now. It's all over the place. Sometimes I just slot shit together. So in the meantime of telling people that I'm waiting for my trans, it is here. So this is the Turbo 350 that I've had for a while now. It's finally back from getting rebuilt. So it got a full Rico, manual valve body, so this will be full manual. Need a new pump assembly, a clutch drum, and an input planet. Now I'll be honest, I know nothing about transmissions. I'll insert some pictures here of this box pulled apart, and it blew my mind how many bits and pieces are inside of an automatic transmission. There was a piece, I don't know what it was called or what it did, but I'll also put the picture here, that was broken inside this transmission. Now, if you remember, I swapped my 4L60 for this Turbo 350, so it was a really good deal. Even, you know, there was a couple of broken bits inside, doesn't matter, added a couple of $100 to the rebuild, and it is ready to go. It did get a few upgrades, which you did mention. Again, I know nothing about transmissions, so I can't comment on what exactly was upgraded, but it should handle a 500, 550 horsepower mark, so that is plenty for this pretty stock cam only LS1. So while I got it out here, I'll do a couple of things. I'm going to bolt the mount on the bottom. I'm going to do the speedo drive. I'm going to grab some fittings to do the cooler lines, and I'm actually going to change up how I have the cooler in the front of the VN. Transmission guy mentioned how to run it the most efficiently to save this box. And I guess I can sort of get the engine off the stand, put the flywheel on, put the converter in the box, and sort of make them up together and as one unit, and it's ready. It's going to be, I can pretty much put it in the car right now, but as I said, I'm going to be putting this all on the K-frame on the floor and then dropping the car over the top on the hoist. So I'm going to do as much here as I can so it's all done, like piece all this together as one unit, get as much on it as I can do here before I tow the car back to Mini's, and we'll use his hoist to slot it in from underneath. Alright, so I've got my nice new mount bolted up here. I'm doing the speedo drive, and there was a couple of things missing on this box, like it doesn't have a dipstick or anything, so I need to order a dipstick, and I need to make this tab that bolts to here and sits in this slot that holds the speedo drive from sort of flopping around in there. It should sit tight, you know, with the O-ring on it, but that just stops it from popping out. Another question, with Turbo 350s in VNs, has anyone gone with 3.9s and they know what colour and company gear to use to get the speedo to read right? Drop it in the comments if you know, it would be very, very helpful. So this is the little tab I've made to hold the speedo drive in, so very simple, just sits in the slot there. Simple. Here I am looking everywhere for the flywheel bolts for this engine as I bag and tag everything so that this doesn't happen. Can't find them anywhere. Maybe they're in the back of the crank, you dickhead. So I'm gonna interrupt this video to quickly drop into my mate's shop to see a very, very cool VN that I think everyone will appreciate. Wow. Is that the height you're gonna have it at? Yeah. God damn, that looks good. That looks amazing.
The two different things I've done.
I actually like this taller filter better. Oh, that is it?
Yeah, that's one.
God damn. And we're back. I actually had to go to that shop to pick up a 1/2 inch torque wrench as I don't have one myself. Let me know what you think of that silver van with the welds on it. Very, very cool car, and I'm sure a lot of you will want a video on that car in the future, which I do plan to do. Now finally, I'm gonna mate these two bad boys together. Helps if you take this out. These things are so helpful. Now after looking up the torque specs for these, I'm kind of not confident reusing them, so I think I'm going to duck out and go get some ARP ones. Now I'm just test fitting everything at the moment, so I got the starter on because I just want to make sure it doesn't hit anything with this Turbo 350. Flex plates on. Now question to you guys. Now by the time you see this video, I will have already rectified the problem, but this is the converter I'm using here. And if you look, the holes just don't line up. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. They're just off, all three. So what would you guys do? Elongate the holes in the flex plate? Elongate the holes in the converter? I don't know. Let me know what you would do. It will be fixed by the time you see it, so I will let you know what dodginess I ended up doing. Now we'll make these two together to make sure nothing hits. There's no thread there, idiot. Now I'm assuming on the 4L60 it actually comes up here and you use this bolt, but this flat section is actually too long. So I need to get one with more thread or just a shorter bolt in general to go in here and hold the plate on. But that is it. Everything fits up nicely, nothing hits so far. Now because I haven't figured out the whole converter thing yet, I am toying with the idea of removing the box and putting the engine in the car so that when it goes to a mate's shop with the hoist, I'm dropping the front out anyway with the engine on it, and at least then the engine's in the car, and all I have to do is take the car on a tow truck and transmission in the back of my ute. So there's a few ways I can do it. I can leave it all out, put it in together from the bottom on the K-frame, put the engine in, then drop it out the shop, and then put the box on and put it back up. I don't know what to do. Depends how bored I get. So you'll see next episode. Now I thought while I'm at it, everyone loves to know what shit costs, so I'll throw in what it costs to build this transmission. So this is a Turbo 350, which I'm not 100% sure what they came in. Older Holden V8s, like on the back of 253s and 308s, I think. I don't know. Take my word. Don't take my word for it. The box cost me nothing because I ended up swapping my 4L60 with someone that needed one, and they had a Turbo 350. So that worked out perfect. So I just straight swapped boxes. There was a couple of problems with this one, as you saw, but that didn't matter. I was getting a full rebuild anyway. I got an aftermarket pan, which you can't see, but that was $217. Flywheel, I'm reusing the standard GM LS1 flywheel. Well, I think we can still use it. I haven't fixed that problem yet of the converter holes not lining up. Speaking of converters, so I sold the converter that was in the 4L60 for $500, and I bought this converter TCI for $500, so another no cost there. And the box rebuild itself, so this full manual Turbo 350 built to handle around the 500 to 550 horsepower mark. I wanted a little leeway just in case I try to give it a bit of gas in the future. It was $2,050. And then at the last minute there, I grabbed some ARP bolts for the flex plate, and they were $60. So the total of this box cost was $2,327, so not bad at all. Now I did manage to reuse the mount that was off the 4L60, and I'm hoping we can do something with my rod shop cross member that we got, because I'd rather not try and sell that and then buy another one, because they're quite expensive. So as long as it's close, I'm sure we can modify it to fit while it's up on the hoist. So I got out of doing this Turbo 350 swap very, very well. Speaking of things for sale, I still have my 1 3/4 inch 4:1 headers that was in the van at the start, conversion headers. So if anyone's interested in those, hit me up, because I will do them super, super cheap just to get rid of them. Now, as I mentioned before, the place that did my transmission rebuild suggested that I run this cooler differently. Now, as you can see, it fills and then empties from the bottom back to the transmission. Now, the way that it was explained to me is that that is not the most efficient way to run it, as the oil can fill at the bottom and then just go straight across and come back out the other side. What he suggested doing is to mount it on its side and have it fill from the bottom so that it forces its way all the way through the whole cooler and all the way to the top, and then back out and back to the transmission. So I'm going to have a go at remounting this. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to give it a go. So it turns out you will actually get to see my butchery this video on getting this converter to fit the flex plate. So I did a lot of Googling, and it turns out everyone just sends it by elongating the hole. So I just followed everyone else's example. So I just sent it with the die grinder. I opened these inwards, like probably 2 mil each. And now this fits up perfect to it. And because this has the dip in the middle, because it's an early flex plate, it has this locator. So regardless of what I've done with the holes, this locates it anyway once it's in the car. So that's what makes it central, not the holes in that. So it should be fine. I wanted to fit this all in this video, but I still haven't got flex plate bolts yet. I ordered them yesterday. They're supposed to come today. They didn't come. So unfortunately I've got to wait. I also realized today that this video marks exactly 12 months or 52 videos of doing weekly uploads. So I think in the next couple of videos I might do, because everyone likes when I break down costs of things, I think I'll do something about how much I've made in 12 months of YouTube. Just because people seem to be interested. I get the messages a lot, like, you know, how does it work? Who pays you? How much do you get? So I'll sort of run through all that, and yeah, I'll show you guys exactly what I've made in exactly 12 months. About to jack the car up. I'm going to take the front off it so I can relocate that trans cooler. I think I'm going to be using an OTR on this engine, so I sort of have to factor in that I don't put the oil cooler in the wrong spot where it's going to interfere with that. So with the front off, you can now see how the oil cooler was run before. And what I want to do is probably flip it onto its side and put it as low as possible with an OTR. I don't want it up high because it will probably mess with that, probably sit in front of it. So low and to the left-hand side of the car. That way I can run the 2 lines like that. Hopefully hide them somewhere down that side of the car and into the side of the transmission here on the driver's side. Right there. I think while I'm here, I might pull these brackets off. I can get some stone guard where I couldn't get it before with the bar on, so some bits that I missed. I'll paint these brackets and put them back on as well. Fun times. Plan was to put it here, but I didn't like the idea of drilling holes into here and here to have brackets to have it down in this bottom corner. And I reckon it looks a bit ugly through the bar if you sort of have it here. Anyway, so all I did was flip it on its side, use the exact same mounts, put it back where it was, but instead with the outlets pointing that way. So job done, very simple. And yes, I will be getting new bars at some point. No, I'm not repainting these ones because a lot of the areas, the factory grain is gone. So I'm just buying brand new ones and then they'll be the proper MX grey or whatever they're supposed to be and redo the pinstripe. So stop asking. We have success. My flex plate bolts are here. I grabbed a couple of fittings for the box, for the transcooler lines, and I completely forgot I needed a dipstick as well. Now this is the same one that I ran in the C10 in my XE. Universal sort of thing, so you can sort of position it wherever you want in the engine bay. So let's torque these down. Now unfortunately I completely forgot that I need ATF, and I don't want to put the converter into the box and put it on the engine without filling the converter with ATF. So the plan this video was to end with a complete unit ready to drop in the car, but that's not going to happen because I don't have any ATF. So this will be the last thing, unfortunately. Alright, so with these it's 3 passes, 20, 50 and 100 Newton meters. And this is my apprentice to try and hold the flex plate while I torque them up. Good job! And that is in its final resting place. The converter fits up nicely to that, so as soon as I get some ATF I can jam that into that and jam that onto the back of that, and it won't have to move again until something blows up down the track, who knows. So once this is all together I need to fit the headers again and do them up snug to see if they hit the box, because going by what I've seen on the net you have to do a little bit of cutting here on the side of the bell housing as the headers hit it. So once I get some ATF I can do all that. So while we're at it, I'm toying with the idea of grabbing a LS6 manifold with the longer runners that look stock, you know, very cheap upgrade. Has anyone fitted one that has some real world results, whether it's worth it or not? Like has anyone done back-to-back testing on the dyno or anything like that? Like more torque, more power? I know it's only a couple of $100, but if it doesn't make a difference then there's kind of no point. So if anyone can point me in the right direction or has their own experience with it, let me know. And that's going to be it for this one. See you next week.